Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Willie, and this is the encouraging word for today. Have you ever been out on a boat and a hurricane or a really bad storm came out of nowhere? Has it ever happened to you? It's never happened to me. I don't even like boats to begin with on a sunny, calm day. But I did once see a movie called The Perfect Storm, which tells the story of some fishermen who went out doing their trade fishing, and they were way off the coast of Canada and North America, and a hurricane came upon them. And I can even see the pictures of that movie, even though it was many years ago, in my mind, how tiny this boat seemed in the midst of that hurricane, and all of them were killed. It's a true story. If you go to Gloucester, Massachusetts, there's a wall of all of the sailors and seamen and women who have been killed in storms. It's like almost 2,000 names etched on those stones in Gloucester, Massachusetts. So the sea is unpredictable. The sea is not a safe place. Waves can wash over boats. It's an incredible situation. It's, to put it in a different situation, but a similar situation, is when an earthquake happens, like we had recently here, or when a really bad earthquake happens. Everything starts to shake, and we have fear, and we are terrified, and we don't know what to expect. Why does that happen to us out in a storm or on the earth, and there's an earthquake? It's because there's something that we believe is solid that is really not solid. In the case of a boat on the water, we think we've got a good, strong boat. Nothing can happen. We think we can control what God has created. Think of the Titanic. They built it to be an unsinkable ship. Wow. And on the maiden voyage, it sank to the bottom. If that doesn't make a statement from God, nothing else will. What we think is so permanent, what we rely on in life, is not stable. It's not stable. The Japanese at one time also built a bridge that they said was earthquake resistant. And I believe within a year or two, an earthquake hit and destroyed that bridge. What we believe we can control with our ingenuity, with our science, and I'm not against any of those things. I think it's good. But humility as human beings is to recognize that we are not in control. We're not in control. So Jesus wants to teach us lessons. He wants to help us. And the primary lesson is to learn that we are not God. God is God, and we are his creation, his children. And we don't control the weather, the earth. We don't control any of those things. We are not in control. Yes, control the things you can, but the things you can't control is out of your control. And when things are out of my control, I feel uncomfortable. I feel like everything's falling apart. We've had enough of those circumstances in the past couple of years that lesson should be very strong in us. The pandemic, we couldn't control it, and it just kept going on and on. So Jesus is teaching Peter and the other disciples, and he wants to give them a key lesson, and the lesson is that they are not in control, that what they think is so permanent is not permanent. He's trying to get their faith to shift from what they believe is in their control, from what they believe they can handle, onto Him, a sure and stable foundation. So Jesus is teaching them lessons. He's teaching us lessons. And sometimes lessons are not fun. Real life lessons are not fun. But we learn, hopefully, we learn from them. But when we're in the training, so to speak, or in the trial, or in the storm, what creates that fear is our whole reality is turned upside down. The earth is not supposed to move. There was not supposed to be a hurricane at this time. The ship was supposed to withstand anything we could meet up with on the sea. So our reality gets turned upside down. So God deliberately is putting the disciples in situations so they learn that lesson. And like me and you, they are slow learners. So that the purpose is to teach them that what we trust in as solid is not really solid. And God wants us on solid ground so we can trust in Him. And so listen to what happens as Jesus is teaching His disciples in Matthew 14:22 through 24. It says this: Immediately Jesus made His disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of Him to the other side while He dismissed the crowd. After He had dismissed them, He went up on a mountainside by Himself to pray. Later that night, He was alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from the land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. This is a test. Jesus is allowing the test of a storm in their life because He wants to change what they put their faith in. And my friends, He does that in me and He does that in you. So it says immediately. That makes us look right before that. What did He do immediately before that? He fed 5,000 people plus women and children. Men plus women and children. 5,000. Great miracle. Then it says Jesus made them, His disciples, get into the boat. He made them. It was a strong word that was used. He didn't ask them. He didn't say, well, let's stay here tonight. You can stay with me. No, you guys have to go across the Lake of Galilee now, in the middle of the night. Go. He made them go, but He doesn't go with them. Now, usually He's always been in the boat with them. So when that amazing storm came out of nowhere and they were terrified, He made the storm go away. But this time says, you're in the boat by yourself. You go across by yourself. You see how it's a test? He's setting it up. Made them get into the boat and go ahead of Him. He's not with them right now. He's not physically with them. And He dismisses the crowd. And after He dismissed the crowd, He went up on the mountainside by Himself to pray. And I believe He was praying for His disciples, praying for their faith to develop, praying for that through the storms, through the trials of life, they would grow and they would place their trust in Him. And that's a great prayer to pray for yourself and for others who go through storms. He's praying on the mountainside all night. And I know He's praying for them. He set this whole thing up and He's praying for them. And it says later that night, when the boat was already a considerable distance, it's about 8 miles wide over there at that point. So a considerable distance, they were probably maybe in the middle, 4 miles from shore on either side. I don't think you can even see the shore in the middle of the night. And yes, they're fishermen, they're used to this, but they're without Jesus now, His physical presence. And when they're in the deepest part, the furthest part from shore, the wind starts to blow and the waves start getting picked up higher and higher. The ride gets rocky and it's spray coming in their face, and they're straining at the oars because the wind was against them. What a situation Jesus put them in. What a situation. He wants to put them on solid ground. He wants them to trust in him, even though they can't see him. We can't see Jesus in our situation, but he's praying for us. He's praying that our faith would not fail. He's praying for you today, that you would grow in your faith and have your faith on solid ground. He's praying for me. He was on the mountainside top praying for the disciples. You know, I was going through a struggle a little bit earlier this week, and my reading in the Bible happened to be Psalm 23. And I saw how the Lord is my shepherd, and he's a good shepherd, and he will take me through all of those storms and troubles, the valley of the shadow of death. He will be with me. He'll make a table in the presence of my enemies. And I don't know about you, but I need to place my whole trust in Jesus, because all around is sinking ground. But on Christ, the solid rock, I want to stand. So I encourage you, whatever you're going through today, know that Jesus is praying for you. And if you need someone to pray for you, you can always text me. I will pray for you. And take some time and just meditate on Psalm 23. He's your shepherd. You can't see him, but he's praying for you, and he's going to be with you through every storm of life. Place your trust in him. God bless you, and I'll see you on Monday.